I pull a 5 of diamonds and make a pair with the 5 of spades from my hand and throw them out. As for Izumi, after moving her hand across the mountain-like pile of cards in my hand, she pulls out the 8 of hearts and throws it down. After that, I pull the Jack of clubs, the card I want the most. So I make a pair with the Jack of diamonds I've been holding for a while, and none of this matters. The Joker's in my hand, so whatever card I pick from hers is harmless. I can't do anything about it, even if I start complaining now. But playing Old Maid with only 2 people sure is boring. This time she pulls the King of Clubs from me. She just won't pull the Joker, will she? I pull the 2 of diamonds. Izumi pulled the 9 of hearts. 3 cards left.
Hey, Haruki?
What is it? I pulled the 3 of spades. In the end, we return to the usual situation where Izumi has 2 choices left. It all comes down to how good my poker face is.
Wanna do it?
No thanks. The pointless conversation goes on and on while our eyes never leave the cards. Even though the 2 cards themselves are already on the table and we can both see the numbers on them.
Why?
I should be asking you. Why are you saying things like that? Although we both omit the subject of that sentence, even I'm not so dense as to not realize what she means.
Because you're looking so depressed, Haruki. So I was wondering if I should cheer you up.
Izumi's foot starts touching me under the table. Whenever you see a depressed man, do you always, try to cheer them up like this?
No, it's the first time I've said something like this. It's only for you, Haruki. Because if I don't go all in now, I won't make the script in time, will I?
What was that?
But which one is my real intention, I wonder?
I'll ask again. What did you say?
Hey, Haruki, do you think it'll backfire on me eventually?
Don't push on with the conversation while you're being vague with your point. Izumi's actions, breath, speech, and expression. None of them look any different from before. Is it due to my lack of perception? Perhaps.
Well, who cares about that? So, why not?
Why? Well, we're not going out, are we? As for my actions, breath, speech, and expression...
It's fine, even if we're not going out. I just want to have a closer relationship with you, Haruki.
I don't understand. How is this different from a confession? Even if I know I can't maintain my usual composure at times like this, I wonder how it looks like to Izumi.
That is a slight difference. Well, I suppose if you have to add a deeper meaning to it, I guess you can see it as the same thing, alright?
The game is still in progress, but I'm slowly losing my ground.
How about thinking of it from a more casual perspective then? Like, it's just me repaying you for the pizza.
I can't see those 2 things separately. Don't you know that?
I know you wouldn't. I'm sure I know you that well, at least.
Chiaki's foot slowly slides towards my knee. Her expression above the table hasn't changed at all, but her actions under the table don't hide her passion whatsoever. In that case, it's about time you pulled it back. I don't really hate you, which is why it's difficult for me to continue this conversation. Since I can't keep up with Izumi's two-faced behavior, I already lost this game a long time ago. I have already given up on using her observation or my poker face at this point.
Then, if you can answer my following question honestly, I'll consider letting you off the hook.
That's...
Hey, Haruki, do you have a girl you like right now?
I do. But even so, even if I've given up on winning this game, there's an emotion I must defend. That's why I won't hesitate to answer this question in the least. Not just for Izumi, but also...
Then why are you shutting yourself inside your house?
Because I got dumped.
1 step forward and 2 steps back, huh?
That's not how the proverb goes in Japanese, but it somehow sums up my situation perfectly.
But in that case, isn't it my cue to act?
No, that's not right.
Why?
Well, that's... how should I put it?
You still love her nevertheless? Still can't give up?
Yeah. Even though I made up my mind, in the end, I still don't know what to do. I couldn't say it. I'm the worst.
Is that so?
I'm sorry.
You don't need to apologize to me. I'm not that shocked about this result.
Yeah. Even so, I'm able to properly let my feelings out. Even if I'm not conveying my feelings to her, this is enough for now. I guess the time has come. Before I realized it, Izumi's foot had stopped touching me.
The motifs become more and more fascinating, but as I thought, I just can't go through with this anymore.
She relaxes herself completely and stares straight at the ceiling with an expression that suggests she's finally relieved of something. Even though this is completely different from the poker face she had before, I still can't see through her. Izumi's inner thoughts aren't simple enough for me to do so.
With this, my greatest ambitions have come to an end. Thank you, Haruki, for allowing me to dream until now.
I seriously can't understand a word you're saying.
There are things in this world that you're better off not knowing, right? For example, I'm actually a wicked woman who's beyond redemption.
That's impossible. I have confidence in that myself.
I'm sorry.
As Izumi lets those words slip out, the atmosphere around us becomes painful, yet gently silent. Up until this point, there was an intense battle, but now it's gone without a trace, aside from the cards left on the table. Is it really okay for you not to say the night? The last train is already gone, you know.
In that case, I'd have to quickly come up with another story, wouldn't I?
I told you to stop whispering and making it so that I can't hear you. We're full from eating and drinking, and we've also played plenty of games. Just as we were about to go to sleep, Izumi suddenly stood up and started getting ready to leave.
It's hard to stay in a room with a man whose heart's with another woman.
Well, considering the conversation we just had, what she's doing isn't exactly a surprise. This isn't like you, Izumi.
It'd be terrible if I jumped on you while half asleep.
And that's very like you, Izumi. See ya. See ya. Even though we joke around like usual, it doesn't lighten up the mood. We softly, yet emotionally, wave our hands and bid each other farewell.
Hey, Haruki?
Is it because she's separating from me that she seems a little lonely?
I know about the depth of your emotions, you know? That beautiful feeling of yours that's on par with any of the world's many stories. You know what I mean?
What are you talking about? Izumi's eyes are full of emotion, and she starts tearing up.
You've already come this far, so I hope you can dash towards the finish line and give this beautiful story the beautiful ending it deserves.
Izumi, you...
And this time, let me play a part in that story.
Still, even at the very end, she doesn't really explain the most important bit, not crossing the finish line. Without revealing the secret at the bottom of her heart, Izumi sublimates it.
Good night, my lord. It has truly been my pleasure to have been able to observe you these past few years.
You mean for these past few days, right? December 30th, Thursday. My first glimpse of the scenery of the outside world in a while dazzles my eyes, having grown accustomed to the darkness of my room. The way I am now, having been abandoned by the world for a while. The hustle and bustle of the city intimidates me greatly, be it the unruly noise across town or the speed of the pedestrians passing by me. Well, it didn't take even an hour of going out before I was fortunately released from walking in Urashima Toro's shoes, though. And a couple of hours have passed since then. The sky, which was blinding despite the gentle sunlight that was shining from above, gradually turned black with the passage of time. After having walked around aimlessly, and when I felt rehabilitated enough to interact with the outside world again, this was the first place my feet took me. Goodies Restaurant, Minami Suetsugo branch. I've been standing outside, watching my busy co-workers working inside the restaurant the whole time. The number of customers is slightly lower than usual, though. Likely because both Hojo University and its affiliated high school have entered winter break. As the number of employees on shift is also accordingly lower. I don't see anyone resting in either the kitchen or the hall. Not Sato, Nakagawa-san, or any of the remaining staff. So, if I'm here, perhaps my rehabilitation may move on to the next stage. Once I'm used to brushing up against the edges of the outside world, I need to begin my rehabilitation to actually step out into it. Since the university is on winter vacation, this is the last thing I can do right now.
Senpai? Could you please not loiter in front of the restaurant? To tell you the truth, you're hurting our business.
Sugiura?
And please don't pronounce my name in such a rhythmical way. Are you making fun of me?
No, it really wasn't my intention. I wasn't trying to make fun of you. I actually just stuttered.
You don't have work today, do you? Didn't the acting manager drive that into your head?
I was forced not to work because of your scheme, Sugiura.
Do you have that little faith in me? The testing period is over, and I'm pretty confident that I'm doing well.
The issue is that people can come to trust you too much.
Even though I told you not to come again this year, come to think of it, Senpai, aren't you supposed to be?
That's none of your business. Let's make it clear that I'm your senior here. Rather, I'm your senior in every situation.
Well, how did it go? You've already talked things through, right? You've already settled things, right? With her, I mean?
I was finally starting to lighten up the conversation, but all it took was a sentence from her to abruptly stop it.
If you're here to brag about it, I'll gladly hear you out. Although it'll probably bore me to death, I'll still listen to what you have to say. Senpai?
I'm sorry. The moment I let those words leave my lips, Sugiura's eyes widened.
What happened? Did I make some sort of fatal mistake?
It appears I've delivered quite the shock to her sense of responsibility.
Please allow me to confirm your order. A seafood risotto with a drink set, as well as a Caesar salad. Will that be all? Thank you very much. Please wait a moment. I've got the order for table 7. Well, Senpai, go on.
Cheese hamburger steak, table 12.
Address our earlier conversation before that.
It's not like it was your fault, Sugiura. There's no need for you to feel responsible for it.
If that's the case, then why?
Isn't it obvious? It's a problem between her and me.
Senpai, don't tell me you ran away again from Ogaso-senpai? How long do you plan to drag the past along with you? If you don't work harder to overcome this obstacle?
Look, table 1's calling for service. And while you're at it, take this cheese hamburger steak to table 12. Koharu-san. Well, I must say I'm glad you were able to come in and help, but... Spare me, Sato. I never thought it'd turn out like this either. This is the last form of rehabilitation I can see through to the end for now. It took me an hour to get used to the work I've abandoned for almost a week. It's just that my original intent was to give up on this little bit of rehabilitation once Sugiura caught me. If you're asking why...
Table 1 has another order. If you don't work hard to overcome this obstacle, Senpai, you won't be able to fall in love again, you know? Please, hurry up and refute me. I'm busy too.
The problem's what happened before all that.
Then, what is the...
Whether I run away or not doesn't matter. The wound I've inflicted on her was worsened to the point where it can no longer be healed. It's only natural, Just think about everything I've done up until now.
She's the one who...
Yeah. Counter. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? The fact that a certain duo is brazenly whispering to each other during work? Look, I apologize, alright? I'll remind Sugiura to keep that in mind the next time she comes in. Make sure you tell her, okay? Tell her to speak loud enough so the rest of us can hear too, or we'll feel bothered by it. Just die. Even amidst being busy at work, Sugiura, who had entered her usual meddlesome state of mind, refuses to abandon either of the two responsibilities. After she brought me into the restaurant and threw me into the kitchen, her processing speed must have increased by about 50%. Said 50% being used for the sole sake of talking to me.
I take it that everything you've ordered is to your liking? In that case, please enjoy your meal.
That girl ought to slow down a little and take it easy.
Please hurry up on table 18's dessert. Then, what did she say to you, senpai?
Come over here a little closer. Her questions are too rushed, too impolite, and always seems to hit me where it hurts, though.
Right. Okay. Please continue.
Sugiura leans her upper body on the counter and properly adjusts her profile closer to me. Her small right ear, to be exact. Well, from her demeanor to the situation itself, it all seems so work-focused that one couldn't possibly think we're talking about something serious. But under the presence of Sugiura's seriousness, I decided to loosen my tongue rather than allow my mood to worsen.
Liar, huh?
Pretty much. I can't say I disagree. Given that the restaurant closed early because it's the end of the year, I only ended up helping for less than 2 hours. And given the fact that we never managed to finish our private conversation in the middle of work, Sugiura earnestly volunteered to take up the cleanup duty after closing hours. It's thus no surprise that the two of us were the ones that remained in the hall. Believing that I could wash away the sins just by apologizing at this point, I was so incredibly selfish to have thought about it that way, wasn't I?
But you're not the one at fault, senpai. You haven't done anything wrong at all.
Thank you, Sugiura, but it seems that it's too late for me. Supporting her chin with the handle of the mop, Sugiura lets out a sigh. It's because Setsuna's never blamed anyone up until now that I know that she truly meant it this time. After she digests my narration of our painful experience, she appears as if her chest is burning a little. And it was then that I painfully realized just how badly I've been hurting her to this day.
But senpai, haven't you been through a lot of pain yourself?
I'm just reaping what I sowed.
Please, don't blame yourself like that. It's painful to watch.
I'm sorry. I guess I was blaming myself. I guess I was blaming myself to feel better. It's really pathetic.
You're changing the topic on purpose, aren't you? That's not what I meant, and you know it.
I'm sorry. It's not very good for you to start defending me right now. I'll start believing I deserve it.
Oh.
In response to Sugiura's unexpected siding with me, I take a slightly more defiant stance with her. The things I've done have hurt more people than just Setsuna.
You mean to say?
After all, Sugiura's failed to notice because she's just that straightforward. She grew distance from others because of me. Those around her accidentally got dragged into this mess thanks to me. Her support towards me and her denial towards Setsuna. Close friends from the past, friends from university, fellow part-timers, and also an important junior of mine. The way I am now, it's admittedly quite painful. I've hurt many people and caused pain to those around me as well. It's such a terrible spiral of misfortune. You too, Sugiura. I've caused you pain too. Don't you also fit into two of those categories? The best friend of an important former student of mine, who's also a colleague from work.
Right now, I think I'm hurt because I fit into 3 of those categories, actually.
I'm sorry. Someone who's already surpassed being a mere colleague, I'd add.
Jeez.
Sugiura, who's so important to me, started voicing her resentment, making me choke up a bit too.
Hey, senpai? Did you regret it that much? Not just the issue concerning Ogiso-senpai, but also the other...
I do. For all the things I've done, I'm the absolute worst. Why should I tell something like that to a total stranger? Why couldn't she understand? Why couldn't she hate me? Yeah, I'm the worst. Back then, Sugiura was completely in line with what everyone else had told her. I understood that she's only just now starting to form her own opinions. That's why I chose to put it differently compared to how I did the first time we met. I believe that I've finally been able to say it to her honestly.
I see now. You've been regretting it. You've been reflecting on what you said back then.
I said something terrible to you, didn't I? I wasn't acting mature at all.
The same goes for me. After all, I've said plenty of terrible things to you too, senpai.
You've simply retaliated whenever I started it. You've done nothing wrong.
You too, senpai? The same could be...
Sugiura?
I couldn't forgive you back then, senpai, but I think it's about time you received forgiveness.
That's just because you're biased. It's just the result of the two of us having worked together for a while.
But haven't you already reflected on what you've done, senpai? That means you're planning to change, right?
Sugiura.
If you ask me, as long as you can move forward, that's all that matters. If someone is willing to work hard and down to the bone, then I don't see myself ever hating them.
As usual, she's quite straightforward, just like the cold, cloudless night sky above us. The eyes looking at me are transparently clear. Thank you. If you say so, Sugiura, then maybe it is true.
Senpai?
Her faith in me instills an optimistic feeling within me, suggesting that I'm still capable of moving forward. Was it the chicken or the egg that came first in this case? Hey, Sugiura?
Yeah?
In that case, could you help me make a phone call right now? I've got this feeling for the first time since I was born, so I can't let it go to waste now. I'm sorry for calling you so late.
right? Hey, want to order another helping of cake? I'm getting a little hungry.
And also, thank you for coming. To be honest, I thought you'd never want to see me again.
How could I? Never. Or maybe we should get a parfait instead? What time is it already? If we eat past midnight, we might get fat.
There's something I have to talk to you about no matter what. Though perhaps it's selfish of me to ask this of you after saying something so cruel to you.
Before that, please tell me one thing. I'm so stuck. Hey, what do you guys think?
What is it?
Why are you together with Koharu-chan, sensei?
Without reservation, Yada-san casts a doubtful gaze at me as I sit opposite her, as well as Sugiura, who's sitting right next to her. Sugiura called her phone over 20 times, and when she finally answered, she paused for another 30 seconds before giving her reply after hearing my voice. But even so, she still came to see me. Even though I suggested meeting up tomorrow given the late hour, she showed up in a mere 10 minutes.
Why are you two together so late at night? Mihoko.
Most likely, she didn't do it out of goodwill. We both work part-time at the same place, and it's simply a coincidence and nothing more. But at this point, no matter what her reason is, it's fine so long as I get to see her. If I could have just one more chance. Sugiura is working part-time to fund her graduation trip, and that place just happened to be where I used to work. That's all there is to it. Still, I'm grateful to Sugiura for giving me another chance to talk to you, Yada-san, and because she did many things to help and encourage me.
Haru-chan did?
However, what I need to talk about now has nothing to do with Sugiura. It's between you and me, and another person, Yada-san. And it's not about me alone. I must use this chance to resolve the misunderstandings that have piled up between these two as well.
Is that true, Koharu-chan? If that's what Senpai says, then don't you think it is?
Sugiura?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Mihoko. I should have told you before. How could... But all this time, I've been so terrible to you, Koharu-chan. It's really no problem at all. The fact that we've been able to communicate like this is because we're able to be honest with what we want to talk about. Koharu-chan?
Yada-san's eyes, behind her glasses, finally turned towards the person she's been avoiding until now. As for Sugiura, after being stared at directly, she becomes embarrassed and looks upward. In any case, I apologize for causing such a misunderstanding between you two, and for acting so terribly towards you, Yada-san. I'm very sorry.
It's fine.
At that time, I was afraid of letting others get too close to me. The closer we were, the stronger my fear became.
Sensei?
But, of course, there's a reason I became like that. It might take some time to explain, but could you please hear me out? Yada-san stares at me as I lower my head, the same way she stared at Sugiura earlier. Very lightly, she nods.
Nothing to do with me? You don't have to be direct about it. You don't have to be so direct about it.
I told her about that beautiful period of my life that lasted half a year, dating back 3 years ago, of the girl who delivered her affections to me, of the two girls for whom I I harbored equally sincere affections for, and the performance during the school festival, where the three of us together enjoyed ourselves like fools. And then there was the severe reckoning I received, having failed to make a single, albeit crucial, choice, despite being so immersed in a dream like that. I was the one that should have been punished for it, and yet it was one of the girls that had ended up shouldering all the pain, and a thorn piercing her heart is still not being removed for 3 years to this day. Unfeeling blood pouring continuously from her wound with every instance I approached her, even now. Falling in love with someone and having someone fall in love with me, I was scared, really scared of that.
Sensei?
That's why I treated everyone equally. I didn't have any inclinations towards any particular person. That way, I could maintain the status of not being liked or hated by others. It was an attempt that was supposed to protect my own heart, one devised by my previous self, who had found human relationships to be terrifying and troublesome.
But, Sensei, you're liked by everyone.
I know, right?
Because you work hard for everyone. You're strict to everyone, and you're also kind to everyone.
You're only ever strict with me, though.
Well, that's the obvious thing to do. It's my job, after all.
Most university students working as part-time tutors wouldn't go so far, normally speaking. Nor would they spend more than an hour trying to answer all my questions.
If I had been a good teacher, I would have been able to finish it in 10 minutes. That's just a sign that I'm not good enough.
Even so, I was happy. Even so, I was very happy. Up until then, Koharu-chan was the only one who would go so far to help me.
Mihoko?
Isn't that just your misunderstanding? I don't want to say something cruel to her for the second time, so what I just thought to say will never leave my mouth. But that doesn't mean I'll readily accept her overly biased view of me. It's the undeniable truth that I said some terrible things to you, even though you believed in me.
Sensei.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Even though I know it's not something that a simple apology can solve.
Mihoko, this is fine, right? This is enough, right?
Koharu-chan.
Kitahara-senpai really regrets what he has done. The pain he experienced is no less than yours. I can tell after all these days I've spent working with him.
It's fine, Sugira. You don't need to speak up for me.
But...
I lower my head before the two, while Sugira tries her best to defend me. Even though to Yada-san, her attitude might cause the opposite effect. Sugira herself must know that too.
Kitahara-sensei.
While remaining silent, Yada-san looks both at me, lowering my head, and Sugira, who continues to defend me.
What I want to know isn't what happened 3 years ago.
Mihoko?
What I want to know is now, after apologizing to me, what your feelings are now, senpai.
Before the wound could be sewn together, she confronts me once again. I thought you were a wonderful girl, Yada-san. No, even now, I still think that's true. Something shocking enough to make her stop going to school. I don't think I'd ever understand how painful that must be. You tried your best to understand my terrible teaching, so much that even I felt I was making progress. You tried your best to understand my terrible teaching, so much that even I felt I was making progress. I'm not talking about that. It's... How do you look at me as a girl? Mihoko, that's... I'm sorry. I already have someone I like. But this is something that I have to tell Yada-san, no matter what. I've been hurting her for 3 years now, and she finally dumped me 1 week ago. After all, I went out of my way to resolve myself to see her again, just so I could tell her all about this. Even so, I still love her. Apologizing to her would simply be making excuses. That's why I'm sorry. I can't accept your feelings. I just want to tell this girl the true reason why I rejected her.
Feeling better? Oh, who am I kidding? I'm sorry for having it end like this.
You don't need to apologize to me. It's not your fault, Koharu-chan. It has nothing to do with you, Koharu-chan.
Yeah. Hey, Mihoko, wanna go to karaoke or something after this?
That's impossible. How could I sing now?
You don't have to sing. Just go there to cry your heart out. Let's go throw away all those painful things that have happened this year. And then, when winter vacation is over, let's go back to school together. Okay?
Koharu-chan.
To celebrate us making up, I'll pay for it. Hey, come on. Let's go, Mihoko.
Koharu-chan. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
The truth is, I want a chance to cry a bit myself.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Poor Mihoko. She started off this chapter. Now the misunderstanding has all been cleared up. Poor girl with a teacher crush. But now that it's all cleared up, her and Koharu can move on. Honestly, I think this is a cleaner and better ending for the two of them than Koharu's route. Oh, I'm also of the opinion that our new romantic partner is not worth losing a close friend.